More about headshots. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented and highly photogenic, beautiful wife, Brooke. Yeah, see what I mean? And now on to our topic. More about headshots. In an earlier video, a link in the description below, we talked about headshots and resumes. But I'm recording this in December, which is a time of year where actors are often thinking about refreshing their headshots, so I wanted to tackle this topic one more time and give some additional insight. I'll give some ideas about wardrobe and makeup towards the end of the video, but I wanted to start with the overall goal of your headshot session. As my late mentor, Sam Christensen, would say, the headshot is a preview of the experience the casting director or other decision maker will have when they get to meet you in person or see your audition tape. Think about that. It's a preview of the experience they'll have once they see you in person. So, just like a movie trailer, there's a lot riding on this headshot. And this also means your headshot can lead to the same perilous result that some movie trailers fall victim to. Namely, that in an effort to sell your product, you bait and switch the customer by selling them a completely different bill of goods. Let me explain. You ever watch a movie trailer, you get excited about the movie, and then when you pay your $15 to go sit in that darkened theater, the thing that ends up showing on the screen barely resembles what was in the movie trailer. I mean, it's the same footage, presumably, but it feels so different, and you feel cheated. Maybe they put all the jokes in the trailer, making it seem like it was going to be a nonstop comedy, and then you realize it's really not that funny overall. Or maybe there was a celebrity that only has one or two scenes in the movie, so they're really not that big of a character, but they put all of that footage in the trailer, making you think it was essentially a movie about that celebrity, and you felt cheated by that. Or maybe the music in the trailer just caused you to expect a completely different tone when you arrived at the movie theater. Whatever the reason, I would bet my money that all of us have felt cheated at some point by a movie trailer that was a false representation of the actual movie itself. Casting directors have the exact same reaction when the headshot that you submitted that got you the audition does not match the experience of you in person. The trailer, your headshot, was a bait and switch, and they feel cheated by this in-person representation that doesn't match the trailer. And we're not just talking about whether you had different makeup in that headshot, or your hair was longer or shorter, or you didn't have a beard in the headshot and you suddenly show up with a beard. No, that stuff can be a potential issue, especially if you're drastically changing your physical look. But what I'm talking about is the vibe, the essence that is radiating out of that headshot. And when that doesn't match what the in-person experience is, that's where that disconnect can lead to actual anger from those decision makers. Because they were excited to bring you in based on that headshot. And now you don't match that at all, and it feels like a waste from the moment you walked into the room. And when this happens over and over and over and over again within a casting office, you can see why this starts to get frustrating, and it becomes one of the number one pet peeves of all casting directors. So, based on my headshot here, you might expect the in-person experience to be someone who is calm, stable, sturdy, perhaps intimidating, judgmental, direct, nonchalant. If I show up in the room and I am fidgety and my eyes are darting to and fro and I'm talking at a really loud, unnecessarily loud volume, and I just don't seem to know how to contain my own energy, well, that would be the bait and switch that I'm talking about. That wouldn't match what you're seeing in my headshot, and casting would be wondering, who is this guy that just walked into my room? So please, please, please do not try to sell me something in your headshot that is not part of your core essence as a human. And if you want more information on what I mean by this, check the show notes below for some links to our website where you can learn more about the Sam Christensen image process that will give you all of the answers to this. Okay, so that was the general advice, and as promised, here are some practical tips that I'll kind of give you rapid fire to close out this video. First, be careful buying wardrobe the same day as your photo session, leaving the tags on because you intend to return it right after that session. You really should let your clothes conform to you, both literally and figuratively. When you put on new clothes, sometimes they feel new. And that could work against you in your photos. So my advice is if you're going to buy anything new, do it at least a week beforehand so you can get used to wearing that article of clothing and verifying that it indeed looks good on you. Next, no gimmicky costumes, period. Please don't wear a stethoscope to show me that you can play a doctor. This next tip is about clearing your day as much as possible when you're going to have that session. The last thing you want is to be running late to your photo session because you had work or some other engagement and you mapped out the location incorrectly and you didn't allot enough time, so you're arriving late and you're frazzled and you still haven't fixed your hair or your makeup or whatever, and now the first part of your session is already compromised. Another piece of advice, hire a makeup artist that you know and trust. I've heard far too many anecdotes from actors, mainly women, who have had a session where they didn't know the makeup artist at all. They weren't really that happy with the job they did, but they were too afraid to say something, or they didn't really realize what it was looking like until they got their proof sheet back a day or a week later when it was too late to do anything. My next tip is to get to know how the photographer runs their session. For instance, do they like to book multiple actors at the same time and rotate you through as you're changing wardrobe? I know of at least one LA-based photographer that shoots in that style. Are they more adventurous and they throw you in their car and drive around town looking for cool, exotic places to jump out of the car and take candid photos and then jump back in the car and keep moving? Do they shoot 100% in studio, 100% natural lighting, some sort of mixture? Do they give you a very narrow time slot for your session, or are they more relaxed? You don't want to be surprised by these details. So make sure you ask around to people who have used that photographer before so you can get the 411. Get some sleep and hydrate. Not just the night before. Start a few days before. Maybe don't drink any alcohol. And lastly, do not expect the photographer to do everything. Relating this back to the movie trailer discussion, they're the cinematographer, but you are still the director. The photographer will light you well and compose a beautiful shot, but don't expect them to know how to coach you into an authentic headshot that represents your brand perfectly. Some photographers are talented in this arena, and some don't really think that that is their job, and I tend to agree with them. You need to be very self-sufficient when it comes to taking photos. If you're relying on that photographer to do all the work, you're not going to be satisfied with the results. So hopefully some of this advice will help you as you plan your next headshot session. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below or send us an email. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on set.